Hi, everyone. My name is Gabi. Thank you so much for being here. I am a master NLP practitioner, an EFT coach, a mindset shifting coach, and a law of assumption coach here at Create Your Future. And thank you for joining me as we dive deep into the law of assumption to figure out how to make it work for you. Before I go a little too crazy into our video topic for today, I just want to let you know that Loki, my dog, is running around very crazily today. He's got the zoomies. So if you hear a lot of commotion in the background, that's what's going on. So we are going to jump in today to a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It is how to manifest your dream job, career, etc., and all the things that go with that. And so I find this near and dear to my heart because I actually have done this. And I will tell you that at the time I was focusing on manifesting my dream job, I had no clue what that dream job would look like. I didn't know what the title was. I didn't know what company it would be with. I didn't know what my team would look like. I didn't know really much of anything other than I knew what I did not want. So if I can do it, you can do it. So we're going to talk about that today. Okay. All the things that go into that. I've had so many subscribers reach out and send in questions, comment on my videos around how do you manifest a dream job? How do you manifest a job? How do you manifest your salary? How do you manifest a great working environment? All of those things. So we are going to dive into that today. And I'm going to share a little of my personal story. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's dive in. So first and foremost, many of you know, if you booked with me, and you've seen me consistently, or you've seen me more than once, you know that my hours for coaching are slightly different. I provide evening hours because I do have a day job. I love my day job. So I want to share that and share how I manifested my dream job. Okay. So before I was a teacher, I was in K through 12 education and I specialized in behavior. And in the United States, that meant that I did a lot of coaching. I did a lot of working with principals, superintendents, teachers, social workers, and I partnered with our psychiatric fellowship program at one of the medical schools to provide services to our students. So that career for me was pretty lengthy. And I eventually got really exhausted pushing a big ball of change up a hill over and over and over again. And so I decided that I was going to leave. I was going to leave my career. And when I decided to leave my career, I had no idea what I was going to do. I had no idea what I was going to change about my career. I had no idea what I could even go into. This is really education, K-12 education and behavior was really all that I had known for a really long time. It is not what I got my undergraduate in. My undergraduate was in architecture, so very different. But I had been in that world and had made a career for myself in that world for a very long time. So I was very unsure of what to do. Also, in the United States, it's very different than in other countries, but in the United States, teachers are not treated very well. They are not paid for their education. So in the United States, most positions that require a master's degree pay that equivalency in salary, which is not the case for teachers across the country here. And so I have 2 master's degrees and was not making anywhere close to what I had even spent to get those degrees. And so I was really struggling with my own sense of value, my own sense of worth, and also what I could bring to the table. In education, you are told that education is really all you can ever do. You're also told that it's something anybody can do. If you just saw that, that was my cat jumping across the the gate there. So he wanted to join in on the conversation. But also in America, teaching, when you become very disillusioned with that, and as often the case with many people that I know that have left at the educational system here, you struggle with this idea of, do I really have skills that can translate or transfer into different environments, different roles, different jobs, different industries? And so I also felt that way. I left my teaching job. I had no idea what I was going to do. I literally just walked away. And I did not know what I was going to do. So for about 9 months during the job searching process, I took on freelance projects. I worked as an instructional designer. I worked as a graphic designer, really taking on small projects here and there, trying to make ends meet, etc. And in that time frame, I was applying for roles. So I applied for everything that you can think of. I applied for instructional design roles. I applied for customer success roles. I applied for business development roles. I applied for I even went back to doing some architectural technology stuff. So I was applying for everything that I could possibly think was related to me. And I was really frustrated. I was hearing a lot of no's. I was hearing a lot of, you don't have the skills that we're looking for. I was hearing a lot of, oh, you're transitioning, like you haven't really been in the corporate world. So I was hearing a lot of those. And I got really frustrated and really sad because I felt like I didn't really have a place, and I felt like I didn't really know what I wanted to be or where I wanted to be, but I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. And so I decided, you know what? I know what I don't want. And I know what I don't want because of the last 10 to 15 years in education. I know what I don't want. I definitely don't want these things. And so as I started to think through what I didn't want, it immediately led me to identifying what I did want. So I knew that I didn't want to be a part of a team that was reactionary all the time. I wanted to be part of a proactive team. I knew that I wanted to be a part of a team that was collaborative because I didn't want to be a part of a team where I operated on my own or I was in a silo. I knew that I wanted to be a part of an organization that values its employees, that supports its employees, that wants to grow its employees, because I knew that I no longer wanted to be undervalued. I no longer wanted to feel like I wasn't supported. And I no longer wanted to feel like professional development was up to me and my pocketbook. Okay. So I basically sat down and made a list of things I did not want, that I wasn't going to compromise on anymore, that these were things that I absolutely was not going to be doing moving forward. And then that led me to the list of what I do want. So it led me to think about, okay, well, if this is not what I want, then what do I want? And I would just write down the opposite. So once I had my list together, I allowed myself to really daydream and to really think about what it would be like for me to go to work in an environment where I felt supported, where I felt like I could grow, where I felt like I was heard, that my opinion was valued, where I felt like I was considered an expert and I brought expertise to the table. I daydreamed about what it would be like to come home and not feel stressed and not feel like I have to do additional work because I have to, right? Like, there's a difference. You can come home and do additional work because you want to, versus because I have to, because there wasn't enough time in the day, right? I really allowed myself to feel what it was like to have a good work-life balance, to think about what it was like to be able to have an environment and a home life where I could enjoy dinner with my partner, where I could enjoy going out to yoga class, where I could take off a day and not have to worry about what that would mean if I took a day off. So all of these things were things that I allowed myself to think about. I allowed myself to wonder what it would be like, to allow myself to experience that in a way, by basically just asking, what would my life be like? What would this be like? How would this feel? How would this be for me? What would I be thinking? What would I be doing with all this extra free time? What would I be doing if I could actually take time off of work and not have to worry about taking time off of work? And so as I allowed myself to kind of daydream and play with these thoughts, in the 3D, I was still applying for roles. was still interviewing, made it through multiple different rounds of interviews. And so I was telling myself, okay, this is working. This is working. Then I came across a role for a company that intrigued me. I was very interested in this role. It was for their learning and development department, and I was very interested in this particular role and this manager role. And so I applied. I interviewed. I didn't get the job. But I knew that was where I needed to be. I knew that I belonged there. So when they called me to tell me they were going with another candidate, I was very gracious about it. I said, thank you so much. You know, if another position opens up, please keep me in mind. I would love to work with you. I would love to work with this organization. And I went about doing my 3D. So I went about continuing to apply, continuing to interview, still working on freelance projects. And at the same time, I was reminding myself of this amazing job based off of what I want. I knew I wanted to be in a creative space. I knew that I wanted to be in a position where I was collaborating with the team member and design decisions were left up to me because I was an expert in that field. I knew that I wanted to be working with multiple different people across the country. I knew that I wanted to be at the forefront of where I could merge project management, learning and development, adult learning principles, leadership, and architecture, because that was a passion I'd rediscovered. And I stayed in that. I stayed in that. When I would get frustrated, when I would get sad, I would return to that and I would tell myself, this is what I want. This is who I am. This is what I'm deserving and worthy of. This is what I am manifesting. 6 months later, I got a phone call, not from the company, from the hiring manager. And he said to me, I have a position on my team. I've been watching you. I've been watching your social media, my professional social media, because I've been watching you. He's like, you've continued to put out great stuff. You've continued to stay active. You've continued to show how you are a value add, and I'd like to offer you a role. And that was 2 years ago. And I'm still with the same company, and I still love my job every day. And I have to tell you, my job has evolved. And every time my job evolves, it's because I start thinking about, what do I want to do now? Where do I want to take this? How do I want this to work out for me? How do I want to feel about this? What responsibilities do I want to add to it? What flows do I want to have? What workflows, what process flows, what team members do I want to work with? What departments, what cross-functional departments do I want to work with? And as I think about those things, and as I tell myself, okay, what would this be like for me? And I put myself in that experience, they begin to manifest. They begin to manifest. And so now I'm in a different role, same company, same team, different role. But it is everything I've ever wanted. And I love that. I love that. And I just want to tell you that this is a really, like, my story is a really great example for why persisting matters. Why does it matter? And Neville has all these great stories about, he's got this wonderful story about a couple where a contractor came to them and wanted to build this apartment complex for them. And there were just a few things that they did not want. And so they weren't willing to go with that contractor. And years went by, and then they did. Like, they found the person, they person they wanted to do it with, they built it and everything. It was everything that they wanted. But they persisted. Every night they went to bed thinking about owning that apartment complex. Every night they talked about what it is they wanted to have in that apartment complex and who their lease tenants were going to be and how they were going to do leases and things like that. They persisted in their knowing of that manifestation. They persisted in putting themselves in that experience. And that is what I did. I persisted in putting myself in the experience of what I want. Okay. And telling myself, this is who I am. This is what my life is like. This is what I'm experiencing. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm feeling. Okay. And in doing that, I manifested into my 3D. Now, I want to be super clear about the time frame here. I know many of you are listening going, 6 months, that took too long. I will tell you, my 3D self, my human self definitely felt that way. There were times where, just like you, I was frustrated. And I realized, looking back now, had I let those moments wash over me rather than stay within me, the time frame would have definitely shortened, because there were things happening in the 3D at this particular organization that had I not allowed my frustration, my fear, my anxiety, my doubt to creep in, then and push me into a spiral or push me into frustration, then the 3D would have literally pushed out sooner. But we live and we learn. So I just want to share that with you. And I want to talk too as well around doubt. Okay. So you're going to get like a twofer in this video. So I want to talk to you about doubt, specifically about why circumstances don't matter. Okay. And I think this is really relevant when we're talking about this story, this success story in particular, because again, many of you are going, 6 months. Oh my God, 6 months. That's so long. I don't want to wait 6 months. Yes. And oftentimes we wait longer in Newtonian time, right? In our human 3D conditioned time, we wait longer because we doubt. And doubt, I want to be very clear about this. Doubt is a common occurrence when you're manifesting our desires. Okay. This is super normal, especially at the very beginning of your manifestation journey. But more often than not, doubts have to do with the circumstances surrounding how our desires will come about or the fulfillment of our desires, which when we're looking at our manifesting desires, when we're looking at what we want and we're looking at everything outside of us, so we're looking externally into the 3D, we're looking from the view of our human self. And looking from the view of our human self, our circumstances seem insurmountable. They do. They seem like we can't get over them. Everyone tells you, I know for a fact everyone tells you, every law of assumption coach out there tells you, every law of assumption teacher out there tells you, circumstances don't matter. Why? Because when it comes to the law, the only thing that matters is your ability to have faith in the law of assumption. One, faith in your ability to manifest because you're a conscious creator, and you sticking loyal to the vision that you have for yourself. Okay. To the vision of that reality that you have for yourself. And I know a lot of you are sitting there going, okay, but why? My circumstances are special. My circumstances are unique. Or why do circumstances not really matter? And how do I go about believing so I can get rid of my burden of constantly second guessing my desires or doubting my manifestation in the 3D? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, circumstances, no matter how difficult, no matter how opposing or impossible they feel, they are without exception manifestations of your own assumptions, your own beliefs, your own subconscious patterning, and your own concept of who you are at one time or another. They're just manifestations. And since you're a conscious manifester, you know that you are right now working on shifting your own framework. You are working on training yourself to shift your state. So if you shift your state to assumptions, beliefs, subconscious patterns, a concept of who you are that is in alignment with what you actually want to call into the 3D. So in alignment with the reality timeline you want to shift to, then you know that you can shift, you can change, you can alter anything to your preference and your choice. Meaning there's an infinite number of versions of reality that have already been created. You know that creation's finished, creation's done. And so if you choose the versions of reality, the versions of people and experiences that you want to encounter or change or improve, basically whoever, however, whatever you want to move your current reality to your new reality, okay, then all you have to do is stay faithful to that vision, have faith in the law of assumption and that it works, and have faith in your ability to consciously manifest. Those 3 things. That's it. For anything, no matter the circumstances, no matter the conditions. Okay. I do want to say here that a challenge that many of you may experience, I know one that many of my clients come to me with, is that the ability to detach from the previous version of reality. So either one that's in your memory, so one that you're thinking about from the past, right? Or the version of reality that's still appearing in your 3D, creating this very weird illusion that change is impossible or very difficult or insurmountable. But really, change is just a decision. Neville Goddard tells us we first need a burning desire for change. And without that, the motivation to stay consistent and disciplined to imagining our desired reality and shutting out all other opposing options is non-existent and hence likely to fail us. And then it says, given that burning desire, we then decide that our manifestation is ours. So meaning you're choosing from the infinite field of possibilities that's already there, and stay in the inner knowing and conviction no matter what the 3D may be showing us or what doubts our minds might present us with. Okay. So circumstances can and totally do change. They do it all the time. In fact, I tell you this all the time. Everything outside of you, circumstances and conditions, they are not constant. They are constantly changing. The only thing that doesn't change is you. You are the only certainty in life. That's it. Well, the other certainty is that everything in life changes except for you. So by default, 2 certainties. But you really need to remind yourself that, I apologize. Sorry, Loki's barking. You really need to see and remind yourself that you have a luxury to believe in yourself. And you have a luxury to believe that your manifestations are moving into this reality. And when I say a luxury, it is because you can either choose to tell yourself that this manifestation is too important and I'm too emotionally involved. Therefore, I don't see it moving. I don't see anything other than my circumstances. Or you can choose to say, all circumstances change. This manifestation is moving forward. I am seeing movement. I'm always seeing movement because I'm a conscious creator and I choose. I choose this for myself. And with that, embody your wish fulfilled. However you do that, whether that be techniques, whether that be thinking about what would I be experiencing. But at the end of the day, all you have to do is remain indifferent to circumstances. Circumstances have no choice but to actually shift eventually or just stop mattering because we have chosen and focused on our new version of reality. And those circumstances that you are seeing right now belong in the old reality, and you are no longer aligned to the old reality. You are choosing the new reality. Therefore, those circumstances don't matter. Just like mine, they didn't matter. 6 months didn't matter because I landed this amazing dream job, and you can too. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by and jumping in with me, and go ahead and leave a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and I would love for you to have other suggestions or video topic ideas. So go ahead and leave those down below as well. Thank you. Bye.